Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here. Welcome back to another Cardano video. If you're new, make sure you hit the subscribe and the notification bell so that you never miss any of these Cardano updates. So today I got to sit down with Micky Watkins from WorldMobile. This had been a highly requested video since they first appeared on the Cardano Africa special last month. So I've got a lot of questions on what WorldMobile are doing and what's my opinion on them. So I got to sit down with Micky and I can really see why IOHK and WorldMobile are working together now. There are so many synergies between both companies trying to help a lot of people that just don't have the resources that a lot of us take for granted today in the developed world. So as well as that, what they are trying to do, the technology they're using to bring internet connectivity to the remote parts of Africa, this technology, it's not just going to help out there. This is something that can help in so many regions, and even in the developed country, there's so many ways that this can be utilized over the next few years. So before the call, it was a company that I thought, yeah, I probably will try and get involved when the token sale comes up. But I can tell you that after having the talk with Micky and going through all of it, we had the interview. It's about 20-25 minutes long. We stayed on the call for another 20-25 minutes as well, going through loads of different aspects of what they're doing and how they are actually going through it. And I can tell you, I definitely will be trying to get involved with this company because to me, it looks like a win-win. Being able to help so many people out there as well as earn on that as well. This really is one of them, I suppose, rare win-win situations. Again, non-financial advice and all that. You guys need to make up your own mind, and hopefully this interview will give you a better insight into what they're doing. So just looking here quickly before we jump in, you can see the core team here. If you go over to the website, you can check that out. So I had Micky on the call, and to me, he really does have the experience to make this work. When you are getting involved with any project, you always need to look and see, do they have the team to back up what they say they are going to do? Do they have the experience or the track record to show that they will be able to follow through on the plan they have set out? And to me, they definitely do. Right through from the telecoms experience to the boots on the ground in Africa with the renewable energy, which they use to power the stations that then give the connectivity to the villages, as well as that all through to the legal side to be able to go into these villages. So we do touch on this towards the end of the interview, to be able to go in and actually get access to these areas. You cannot just walk in. You have to get, I suppose, permission to be able to go in and set up this infrastructure there as well. So on the token sale, these guys are a public company, so they have to be extremely careful right now with what they say publicly. But me, as the non-financial advisor and all that I am, I can give my opinions on it. So the token sale is currently set for 2 to 3 weeks time. I'm going to have Micky on closer to that again to talk through some more of the aspects when everything is 100% on point. But right now, 2 to 3 weeks is the time frame. You can pre-register here on the site. So as well as that, if you come on down through it, there's a lot of information on it. One part that I want to show you. So they will be using a private vault system that they have set up, and you will be able to buy with ADA, BNB, BTC, DAI, or Ethereum. So again, I will do videos closer to it because, as I say, it's something I will be trying to get involved in myself as well. There is social media accounts. I'll put all of that down below. There is an Earth node that some people that were asking me about. It is something that I will try and get myself, but we do touch on that in the interview as well. So I hope you guys get some value from it. Please do give the video a like. Let me know any questions down below that I have missed out on, or even just your thoughts on WorldMobile. And I will, if there's questions, I'll try and get them into the next video. So let's just jump into it. Okay, so today I have Micky here from WorldMobile, and Micky, why don't you give us an introduction? There's a lot of excitement about WorldMobile since Cardano Africa, since the special. It has been a project I've got a lot of requests about for information. So if you can give us the high level about yourself and about what WorldMobile is.
Of course, it's a pleasure to be on your show today. Nice to meet you. I'm Micky Watkins. I'm the founder and the CEO of WorldMobile. WorldMobile is a mobile network operator built on renewable energy, blockchain, and alternative spectrum to deliver a mobile network that can go much further than the existing mobile networks and is delivered much cheaper.
Great. And you yourself, you've been in the, I suppose, the mobile sector for years now. Do you want to just talk about your own experience and kind of why you and your team can do what you're proposing to basically bring connectivity to remote parts of Africa?
Sure. So we've been collectively, we've spent 100 years in the industry, but from David Fox and Ian Barnett, they've been in for 25 years plus. I've been in with my brother Josh for the last 20 years. Mostly, I've been looking at ways to provide cheap and affordable connectivity to people where they didn't have it before. And I've run businesses doing this for the last 20 years. In the last 5 or 6 years, I was mostly concerned with privacy-based solutions. I didn't like the way that the mobile network industry was going. I didn't like the way that they were needing to find revenues elsewhere because of over the top applications such as WhatsApp and other messengers, took away the revenues. And I saw the way that we as customers were being devalued from the other side. So I decided to push towards building a privacy solution. Spent about 1.5 years with my brother developing, investing our own money. And then I woke up one day and said, hold on, this is crazy. If we're going to try and get this privacy solution, we've actually got to get people to stop using the apps that people have spent billions of dollars converting people to use. And we don't have those billions of dollars or those hundreds of millions of dollars in order to be able to pay for advertising like the big guys. So I went to bed and I thought, well, what am I going to do? And then I put my experience together and I said, well, I know how to connect unconnected regions. I wonder how many people in the world are unconnected. So I went on the mission and all of a sudden I find out that nearly 3.7 billion people on the planet are unconnected. I'm like, hold on, that's half the planet. And then I find out that 3 billion people are unbanked, and a lot of my solutions were based on providing identity of some kinds and banking. But of course, first of all, you need to connect the unconnected. So I came to the conclusion that I can do something about it. My partners probably thought I was crazy. I showed them what Google and Facebook and Microsoft were doing. They said, look, but that's, it's proprietary tech. And I said, no, it's not. That's the whole point. Is these guys are recycling spectrums. These guys are reusing existing technology like TV white space. It's robust, has existed for nearly 40 years. Even you in your house as a kid probably had an aerial that was using TV white space to transmit television signal, but nobody uses that anymore. And that spectrum is free and just needs to be utilized. And I could see the big companies were trying. And I said, no, there's a way here, because you've got 1,000 mobile network operators on this side of the world that is connected. You've got none on this side, and then you've got Facebook, Microsoft, Google, and more who are trying really hard to make an effort to connect the unconnected. But I still look at the numbers today, and it's still 3.7 billion people unconnected. So there is this vacuum, there is this void that people haven't been able to fill yet, and that's, I think, where we are different, and that's where the sharing economy comes in, and that's where the digital identity part comes in, and that's where WorldMobile has a chance here to grow really fast in the place where the demand is the highest.
Yeah, I suppose the big guys don't want to share it. So what you guys are doing is on the sharing economy, and everyone kind of works together. You have the separate nodes and stuff where the likes of Facebook and Google, they want to control it all themselves so they can basically harvest all our data, because that's what we do. When we use Facebook, we use certain applications, we just give them everything and we say, oh, here, I want the, I suppose, easy to use internet, easy to use applications. And for that, we give up our personal identity, which they then resell on to whoever else. So in people that aren't connected now, they can't extract the value from them regions just yet. I'm sure in years to come, they will find the way to do that too.
You've hit the nail on the head. That's it. So the mobile network operators, they're trying to get somewhere with legacy infrastructure. They just can't go that far. When they get that far, the margin's so small that it's kind of not worth it for them, because nobody looks after their equipment. So there'll be a generator or a tower that's in the middle of nowhere. One day it'll be up, the next day it'll be down. Someone's taken the diesel, because you don't care about something if it's not yours or if it's not useful to you, especially when you're deprived. In some cases, that's the way it goes in these countries in Africa.
Yeah, I think I've seen in some of yours as well, you use renewable, you use solar power, is it, for so the nodes that you set up in communities, you use solar power, but then the community can also benefit from this with the lights and stuff like. So I suppose you're incentivizing the community to protect your infrastructure as well.
It's exactly that. So if you're talking about what's in the community. So let's talk about air nodes right now. So we come in, we provide backhaul into the country. We can discuss that later. But in the village itself, it's an air node. An air node is made up of an overpowered, oversized solar panel. Underneath that is a street light that's running on LED, very low consumption. It's all strapped to a pole. Underneath that street light is a wireless access point. It can be Cisco, Ubiquiti, Motorola, Ruckus, any kind of device. And then that's connected to the WorldMobile chain via a Raspberry Pi, or even something lower energy than a Raspberry Pi. And underneath that, there's second life batteries, which are imported from China from the electronic vehicle revolution. So this unit costs $5,000. So in a village of 200 to 300 people, you're looking at a return of investment, 1.5 to 2 years. Depending on the usage there, but this is actually a viable business. So it's as good as having a pub in some cases, or as valuable as having livestock or a crop or fishermen. So by providing that value, it's not just the value of you've got power, you've got light, you've got the ability to be able to charge your telephone, you've got connectivity, with connectivity is a whole new world. Yeah. You're also making money from it. So the owner of that device is really happy.
And to actually get the network, then you use a mesh network, do you, for actually getting the connectivity there. So each of them individual stations connects to whatever other ones are in the same region. Is it, or just kind of an overview? Because I know you guys said that you are looking to provide cheaper and faster connections than anyone else. So just, I suppose, keep it on a high level of how you do that.
Okay, perfect. So let's talk in the fiber optic sense here. The Chinese have done a great job throughout the continent of Africa. They've laid down fiber optics, and that's plugged into the C-bone, and that gives a lot of backhaul options. So the fiber's there. We don't really need to lay it down. What we do is we pick up the fiber. We then plug it into something called an Ether node. An Ether node is a very big node that is responsible for propagating the internet and the legacy protocols in the country for the WorldMobile network. You plug this into the Ether node. From the Ether node, you then plug it into a BTS. A BTS can be a tower that's pretty tall. On top of that can be free space optics. That's lasers. Google have developed a really cool one called Project Tara. We're working with them, we're discussing with them to work in Kenya. And this, from one point to another point, can shoot around 10 kilometers and 20 gigabytes of data. So anywhere between that line, we can then pick up, and we're able to now pull down from there to the mesh network. The final handoff is then delivered to the node, which has this is the device I described, and that has a transcoder on top of it that turns the signal into Wi-Fi, and then pushes out into Wi-Fi. All of this is using unlicensed alternative spectrums, which don't have a massive levy or tax on them. So for example, GSM, the spectrum that we use today on 4G, 3G, that has, cost a mobile network operator 60% of its overall costs are based on paying for this spectrum. So we try to eliminate that as much as possible. In some cases, we need it. We are a hybrid network. In some cases, you will be using GSM. We have a SIM card now that works in 53 different countries that's tested. So we're not against GSM. We just think that for not even the developing world, for even our world, if we can deliver cheaper, then we should, because costs are just going up, right? They're not going down, and data's been taken from us. The more we browse, the more we're being harvested. That's the honest truth. So WorldMobile provides a solution that's not only cheaper, but actually allows you to own your own data as well, self-data governance.
Yeah, if you can use a spectrum that's not in the mainstream, then that puts you way ahead, because you even see we've had it in Ireland where there's corruption when the contracts come up for sale on who can use what spectrums, and down through the years, there's lots of scandal stories, I'm sure, in lots of countries about people getting backhanders to be able to be the company that's awarded the contract to be able to utilize the different spectrums. So if you guys can work on alternative spectrums, then that puts you way ahead. And even for us in developed countries, we can benefit from that technology too.
Definitely. I mean, you've been in places in islands where you can't get your phone signal. That's because the operator just says there's not enough population there to make money from. So the computer algorithm says I shouldn't populate a tower there. I shouldn't put one there. And that's because the legacy infrastructure, for example, 20 years ago, as mobile networks became big and strong, and it was obvious that the world was going to rely on connectivity, there was loads of innovation. there were hundreds of companies, and maybe even, into the thousands in the beginning that were trying to innovate around this space and trying to make protocols better. And then the big tech companies, not the Facebooks, they didn't exist back then, but the big tech companies, the infrastructure providers, they came and bought everybody up and put them in the drawer, and that was it. And innovation was stifled. And then the big tech companies have made money and they're worth billions and billions, but half the world's unconnected because of that stifling innovation. So what we're trying to do is bring that back. But coming back to what you said, eventually everybody will go this way, because mobile network operators do want to go out and connect the unconnected as well. It's not feasible right now. So it will become a world where, we're trying to keep things cheap for the customer, but eventually other people will come into the space. There's lots of room. There's 1,000 mobile operators on that side operating for half the world. There's none on this side, but alternative spectrum will be the future soon, and it will be of benefit to all of us.
Yeah, it's definitely something I must look more into. Until kind of I started looking into what you're doing, it's not something that I even considered possibilities there, I suppose. So where does Cardano and blockchain come into this? How do they fit into the equation then?
So as we were fast building this, we realized that the countries that we operate in, they have levels of corruption all the way throughout. It's just the way that there's no accountability, there's no immutability, but the biggest corruption is usually operated by the mobile network operators. So we thought, first of all, it would be great to be able to have timestamps. It would be great to be able to, prove our billing when we bill people. And as we looked into this, beyond just the transparency and the immutability, we started to see real benefits of digital identity. And we said, okay, well, this is crazy. If we were able to give everybody a self-governed digital ID, the internet is not just a place where they can look at stuff anymore. It's a place where they can take part. In Africa, if you don't have identity, it's really hard to get anything. Lots of people don't have identity. 3 billion people are unbanked. Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, all the common services that we use to purchase stuff online isn't there. It's not available to most of the African continent or the African people. So we realized digital identity and a decentralized self-governed digital identity was massive. I went to meet Charles at a Plutus Fest in Edinburgh. I started to speak to him about banking the unbanked. And first, he needed to connect the unconnected. He introduced me to John O'Connor. John O'Connor came out to Tanzania, and the rest is history. We've been working for the last 2.5 years on a solution that is as important as any for the adoption of blockchain technologies en masse.
Yeah, that's like a lot of, even throughout cryptocurrency and that, there's always fighting about ours is better because of this and that, but it all comes down to real world adoption at the end of the day of what cryptos are going to succeed long term, or what are going to be here in 10 years time, and what chains are actually providing real world utility out there. And I suppose Cardano was definitely a good fit for you. What they're trying to do is bank the unbanked, but in order to do that, I suppose these people need to be able to connect as well. So you're providing the connectivity, and then banking the unbanked can come from even other applications built on top of Cardano too. So sure. you using Prism as well, the same as what's been rolled out for the schools and stuff like that?
A custom version of that, but yes, the same. It's built on Cardano, pushed on Cardano, Atala Prism. This is every user of the WorldMobile network will be an Atala Prism user. It's in our stack.
Okay, so that will be the identity solution, or part of your identity solution then?
Yes, that is pretty much our identity solution. We don't believe that we should reinvent the wheel. The reason that we chose Cardano and we chose IOHK is they have considerable investment, probably arguably the biggest in the space, into peer-reviewed building their technology. So they've done it properly, and this is a huge mission. The World Bank, the United Nations, they want to connect the unconnected, the parts of the world that are not connected, by 2030. Over the last year and a half, 2 years, global growth of coverage only grew by 1.3%. Yeah, you see where we're going here, right?
There's so many parts of the world that are forgotten about, and that are just crying out for solutions. So I suppose another side of that as well is people here are going to be wondering how they can get involved and stuff like that as well. So there will be a sale and stuff like that down the line, which I will, when we're getting closer to that, maybe you can come back on and talk about it then. There will be Earth nodes where I suppose users of the community can run nodes to be a part of the network as well then.
Yes.
So with the Earth nodes, what happens there? Are the transactions processed through that?
Sure. So the Earth node is made up of 3 subsystems. There's a telecommunications module, and that provides the ability to be able to transport calls, messages, and data between end users, and has other features too. You've got something called the Internode API, which serves as a link between the blockchain and the telecommunications modules and the rest of the other nodes as well that interoperate. And then you've got the blockchain module, which of course is built on Cardano. So this is kickstarting the sharing economy. This is Earth nodes that only be a limited amount of Earth nodes that are available, and these will be the biggest part of the mobile network that everybody can take part in until the ground's operations begin, and we're able to allow real DeFi to happen and people from the other side of the world to invest in ground infrastructure and to be able to earn the rewards from that.
And as there's more of a rollout into different countries, will there be a requirement for more Earth nodes then, or how does? Sure. Or is it always a set number?
It's on a limit. It's on a limited release, but there is a finite number of Earth nodes. It's not infinite.
Okay. And in terms of tech experience, then, so there will be people from all walks of life that are interested in getting involved. Both, there's going to be people wanting to get involved for the earning potential on it on this side, and then for people who just want to help out. So on the tech side, will it take much tech experience to run a node, or
none? It's a wizard. It's a guru. We've spent hundreds, thousands of hours in making it a very easy and feasible system to run for anybody from any walk of life.
So you would just need to spin up a server, I suppose, and then you have the wizard to help walk through setting it all up then, and
or just delegate to somebody else running an Earth node as well using the Cardano consensus and system.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely going to be of interest to. So is there a hierarchy there then of Earth nodes, or is it just you can just delegate your?
Yeah, there's just a limited amount, and then if you would like to run one on yourself, you can. If you would like to delegate to somebody else's Earth node, you also can.
Oh, great! Yeah, I'd say there'll definitely be a lot of interest in that. So, I suppose we'll try and keep this short enough anyway, just to give people an intro. As I say, when we get closer to the other stuff, then we can maybe hook up again to talk more in detail about that. Is there anything else that you want to kind of put across on this of what you're doing or something we might have missed here?
Only that come along, join our communities, come into our Telegram, come into our Reddit, ask any questions that you want. Most people don't know that every other person on the planet can't speak or take part in the world as a global one. I don't think that's right. We have a solution to fix that, and part of that solution is education. Part of the education is peer learning and peer expression, and we'd like everybody who cares about this subject to come and join us. And you don't have to be part of the token economy. You don't have to be part of that. You just have to be part of this big belief that everybody should be able to have the same access to the same tools and services as each other, as we have.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we take for granted, like being in Ireland here, I've everything at the touch of a button. When I pick up my phone, you can basically nowadays you can do anything nearly when you pick up your phone, and sometimes we forget about that, how easy we have it in certain walks. So it's always good to get a reminder as well and see how we can actually help other sides as well.
We've tried to create a virtuous cycle here where the help actually results in rewards too, but it's way beyond that. It's actually about an educational piece. We would give our neighbor internet, right? If he moved in today, because we say, whoa, we can't deal with it without having any internet. Or if somebody came into your cafe and they said, can I access your Wi-Fi because my phone's broken and I can't? Say, yeah, of course, but we won't give half the world, or we don't care about the other half of the world. We should. And there is a way, and there's just not enough noise being made about it right now. But the half the world that's been left offline is just not acceptable. So we're trying to do everything we possibly can. And we're very lucky to be in the moment where technology, mindsets, our team, our regulation, the openness of the African continent and many African countries, it's the convergence of this at the same time that allows us to be able to have this opportunity. So I feel blessed, I feel very lucky. And if anybody wants to find out more, feel free to come. And it's been an honor to speak to you today. Thank you very much.
I'll definitely it's been great to have you on. Opened my mind as well to a lot of what's out there. And it looks like a win-win for what's going on. One thing, just to pick up on what you said there, on the legal side in that, how are you finding going into countries? And we'll finish up after that then, just on how open are governments and stuff, or do you need that backing to go in and set up?
It's a really good question. Right. Half the world's unconnected, half the world's not. So let's take for an East African country, let's name no names. Let's say approximately 50% of the country is not connected. Okay. When you go after the connected, you're competing against 4 or 5 or 6 people. There could be deep line corruption. There could be just competitiveness that you can't get out of. It's difficult. When you go to the regulator and you try to buy a license where there's already 4 or 5 companies operating, it's also difficult. Or when you go and try to buy a license from an existing operating company, that's also expensive and difficult. When you go to the regulator and you say, hey, Mr. Regulator, our business model is very different. We want to connect the unconnected first. We don't want to come and connect the connected yet. We want to come and connect the unconnected first. The license is open. The support is there. You're not treading on anybody's toes. You know, it's different. It's a different approach, and everybody wants there to be a change because it benefits governments for people to be online. Without countries connected, the countries stay in poverty in general. Bad healthcare, bad education. We can't do anything without being connected. So the regulators, the governments, the heads of states, even mobile network operators are offering us support to go and use our infrastructure to connect the unconnected. And we've accounted for potential opposition that we may meet. And you know, that's reflected on our board of advisors, our board of directors, and the chief executives at the company who have experience at buying licenses in 12 different countries, who actually created regulation and frameworks and policies. So something we take very seriously and probably our strongest point.
Yeah, that's right. Just on your team as well, actually, we didn't go too deep into it now, but for anyone who does want to see, then the team is all listed on the website, is all public, and there is a lot of experience in all walks of life, but I don't want to spend too long on this, just kind of condense it for people that want the information. I'll put all the links down below. So you guys probably have a Telegram. I'll put your social links as well, the website and stuff, all down below. So thanks very much. I really appreciate your time today. It was great to get the insight, and we will definitely meet up again fairly soon, I would say, and do a follow-up on this.
It was a really good session, and anytime you'd like me, I'd be obliged to come. Thank you very much. Have a great one.
That's great. Thank you.